I'm Matt,
I'm Brennan, and this is Bourbon at the Bench.
a show where we talk about all things saxophone repair while sipping on our favorite brown spirits.
Like, why does my horn smell like bourbon?
Why are all my pants so sticky?
Do you want to talk about how we got into this field? The point of the podcast or the video?
Yeah, I think that's good for us to talk about. I was thinking about this earlier. It's for us, and actually a lot of our friends slash colleagues in our age bracket, we're all very similar in the way that we got into this field.
Yeah,
Like we both have backgrounds in saxophone performance, and then at least for you and me, we both basically apprenticed at already established
right.
shops with like really great reputations for saxophone repair. I didn't ever really think I would be repairing saxophones as a career, and I just sort of stumbled into it. Um,
Yeah.
but obviously, I really enjoy it. I've been doing it for, it'll be 9 years at the beginning of next year.
I remember working at Meridian Winds. People would come through and say, "Oh, Matt has worked on this." It's like, who is this person that I keep hearing about? And now look at us,
Yeah, look at
future roommates at NASA conferences.
true. That
And this is really where the origin of the bourbon came from.
yes, exactly.
Because I showed up, I go into the room, Matt's already there, and there's two very nice bottles of bourbon just sitting by the TV in the hotel room. And that's when I first had Whistle Pig.
Yes, which is what I'm drinking right now, in honor of that special
I
anniversary.
just, I just started this business, so I'm not going to be buying any Whistle Pig for quite a while here, I think.
Ah,
I've got here Knob Creek small batch.
I said I just sort of stumbled into this career, but, and you may have shared this with me before, but I don't really remember. Did you like sort of plan to do repair, or it was always something on your radar?
It
Or
was something that I was interested in, but it certainly wasn't the official plan. And it all happened in quite a hurry, actually. Um, Honestly, it was during grad school. Um, I don't remember exactly when. Grad school is so short, it goes so fast.
yeah,
Like you just get there, you get settled in, you do applications for doctoral programs. Somewhere in there, um, I don't know, I was probably cramming for some competition or recital or something, and I was thinking, man, this is tough. Um, and I had been interested in repair for a very long time. And I was thinking, I wonder if I could, after this, it's like maybe I could go to repair school. Like I've always been interested. So I was looking into it. I was looking at into okay, looking into it as in I went to like the Red Wing website and looked at like what it was and I'm like sort of how much it cost and anyway. So I should back up a little bit. I got my first leak light when I was in high school
okay,
because I was playing on, and it wasn't even a real leak light. It was an LED strip from Amazon that happened to fit inside a saxophone. But I was playing on my uncle gifted me a Super Action 80 Series 1, like the original um, Super Action 80 Alto. And it hadn't been used in a long time. It wasn't in great repair. So I started by taking it to like the chain music store, and it was one of those situations where like a couple $100 played exactly the same. And then I went to another local guy, and he was like, "Yeah, it's fixed." And I don't know what he did, and it still wasn't really working very well. Now, at this point in my life, I can appreciate that it was really me. Like I couldn't play low B's because I sucked, but I was like, "There's got to be something wrong with the saxophone." So I get this leak light, and I started looking around. so it had always been an interest. And anyway, so then in grad school, um, finished strong, got accepted to the Michigan State saxophone program for the doctorate degree. Um, and so in Pennsylvania, where I did my undergrad, in Oklahoma, where I did my master's, I had always heard about Meridian Winds.
Yeah.
They've got all the gear. They've got all of the, like, all the clients. It's saxophone headquarters. I knew about it everywhere I went. So I've accepted the offer to Michigan State. I'm getting ready to move. I think I should contact Meridian Winds. I'm super interested in the goings on of saxophone repair. I should see if I can work part-time. So I email Eric Satterley, and Eric emails me and says, hey, our saxophone technician is leaving. If you're interested in a full-time apprenticeship, let me know.
Yeah.
So I was literally like, I had moved my life with the intention of starting the doctorate work, and this job opportunity popped up. And honestly, I knew pretty quickly that it was a really great opportunity. Frankly, I was a little burnt out on saxophone
Yeah.
study. I did a 5-year undergrad for education and performance, straight into the 2-year master. So it was 7 years of nothing but classical and contemporary saxophone. I started as a true apprentice, and never would I have thought that a few years later I'd be opening up shop on my own back in Pennsylvania, which is good to be back. But yeah, so anyway, the TLDR is I'd always been interested, but it all kind of happened very quickly, not really when I was expecting it.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, you jumped on the opportunity, and I feel like I did too at the time, even though I didn't have any prior knowledge of repair. For anyone watching, if life presents you with some kind of opportunity like that, go for it. I mean, for me, I felt I didn't have anything to lose aside from my friends I had established where I was living and that sort of thing. I was teaching like 2 students privately, and then everything else I was doing was totally unrelated to music. So I was kind of miserable. So for me, it was like, what do I have to lose?
I have absolutely zero regrets. I am so glad that I have the education degree, the performance degrees. It was fantastic, and I feel really good about like having a master's degree and being a repair person. I am 100% invested in all things saxophone. Um, Whether it's teaching, playing, it's cool to be involved in the saxophone in so many different ways like that.
I feel like I'm more into the saxophone than ever now, which
Yeah,
is sort of weird because, I did my master's in performance, and and you have to be really into saxophone then, but now I've seen like this new side of things, I think, from a repair tech perspective. You and I, and then like I said, some friends of ours have very similar
yeah,
stories where we didn't go to repair school, and most of us have advanced degrees in saxophone too, which is um,
yeah.
really interesting. And, you know, I think it's super helpful, of course, but
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you have had a similar story, but all the people that I used to see for repairs growing up, even before I was like a super serious college student, um, they were much older repair guys, and they would take the horn and they would disappear into the back,
yeah,
another room, into the back, whatever, and they'd come out and they never told me what they did, and honestly, it didn't seem like the horn played much differently ever. Um, and I don't know. I also feel like the level at which the saxophone itself needs to perform mechanically, whatever, it's just every year it gets higher and higher with the rep and the demands that performers, students, educators, whatever, are putting on these horns. They need to be in like perfect condition. So these same guys were the ones that would like play test the horn for you with like
Right.
some high baffle jazz mouthpiece with a bone dry size 2 Rico orange box. Not that there's anything wrong with orange box Ricos. But then they play test it and they would subtone down to low B flat and they're like, look, it works. But you and I both know that doesn't mean that a saxophone works, because a high baffle mouthpiece and a soft reed can blow past practically a pad missing.
Right.
So to have this new age of repair person that's play testing the instruments with a S90 190 and a 3.5 reed or something along those lines, you get a much clearer picture of how the horn's going to play for the person that's going to be playing it.
Yeah, and I think even more importantly than that is probably just our mindset, right? In our background, of course.
You see lots of people fall into the camp of like, that horn is beneath me, I'm not going to repair that. And I get it. There are plenty of instruments that it's just as expensive to buy another one,
Right.
of the like $300-400 Amazon saxophone or whatever. But there are these kids too that have plenty decent horns, but they're in terrible shape, and I think oftentimes they get written off. They're just the 10th grader who is playing, but they appreciate a horn in good repair.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing, having done this now for a while, that I realized, when I was a student, a saxophone student, I always blamed myself for issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably it was me to a certain degree, but then when I flip to the repair side and see all the issues with my instrument, it's like, whoa, like this did not need to be this hard. And that's why I try to keep the same mindset no matter whose horn I'm working on or what kind of horn it is. But from a player's perspective, it's easy to blame yourself. But I feel like most of the time there is an issue with the horn, or the horn can be improved to a degree to make something easier for the player, no matter how good or bad you are.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with that.
yeah, but like I said, I didn't realize that stuff until I got onto sort of this side of the fence or whatever.
It's interesting. There are. I kind of came from a school of play the instrument, whatever condition
Yeah.
it's
Same.
in. And I've met so many people over the years that are in the complete opposite end of the spectrum, which I'm not going to say either one of them is correct, but it's a different life then that you're living. Because I mean, the saxophone is an imperfect instrument. It's never, we do our best work, but then people play it for hours and hours and hours and hours, day after day after day, with different climates and amounts of humidity. Like stuff happens. There's something to be said. It is possible to overcome the instrument.
Yes.
A lot of the time, whether or not you want to be doing that, probably not.
Yeah. That's a tricky thing. I was the same. I mean, I was sort of trained to just play the instrument, figure it out from what I'm doing to make it work. And then when I started working at Music Medic and learning about repair stuff, I was like, wow, there's so much that could be wrong with saxophone. And then probably after like 2 years of being there is when I sort of started to meld those two sort of mindsets together. The saxophone is an imperfect instrument, and it's, we both have a lot of tricks up our sleeves to make a saxophone play incredibly well to its full potential, but there also has to be some player input or whatever you want to call it.
I try to encourage. I don't. But you're right. It's tricky because as repair people, I mean, this is our business. We get paid to repair saxophones. You don't want to tell people, just don't come back to me. Just play it with some leaks in it. That's counterintuitive for the business model. But it's just the nature of the instrument sometimes.
Yeah.
You want to be, I mean, in my opinion, to a degree, you want to be able to play an instrument that has a little leak somewhere. If you get to a gig and something shifted a little bit, you want to be able to still play the instrument. It's a delicate dance, but I think it's safe to say that we both think that the instrument should be playing or performing to the absolute best of its potential and ability.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I realize that each one of us is different, physically, mentally, whatever. And I may get a horn to where I think it's, perfect, and then hand it to the owner, and they want this one little thing tweaked, and I am more than happy to do that all of the time because it's not my instrument, first of all. And it's more important to me that they are having a positive playing experience.
Yep.
So, and we both have those skills to make those sort of minute adjustments if someone wants those. So,
I like to pride myself on being extremely flexible in general with all of this. I mean, I have my preferences for key heights and silencing materials and pads and resonators, whatever. I have my preferences, but I love a challenge. I love being able to do all this. So if someone comes in and says, I want this crazy combination of some synthetics, so because of their own research or talking to people, I want these pads, these resonators, these materials, these key heights. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Happy to. I mean, I hope I never slip into the camp of like, this is the only way the saxophone can be.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that differentiates us. We're more open-minded and about those types of things. And I mean, I'm the same. If someone has done research and wants to try something, I'm more than happy to do it. With the things that I do and use, I use them for a reason because I'm used to them and I know what I'm going to do long term.
Like you said, if someone has done their research and there's a lot of information out there, I will always guide somebody or provide consultation on what I think about different materials.
We both, we have the knowledge of all these different materials and pads and such, so we can, share our firsthand experience with
Exactly.
one.
So I mean, like we put in the time and we put in the R&D sort of to find out what these things actually do to the horn. And again, there's highly debated opinions on this kind of stuff. But when you have firsthand experience, the customers appreciate that.
Yeah, generally everyone's a little bit different too. So this is something that works for me may not work for someone else. I try to stay in that mindset. And
we have incredibly similar ideologies about all of this. And everybody has their opinions, but you and I seem to align very much on many of these things.
Yeah.
Next time, we talk about repads, overhauls, new horns versus old, and why you should do it and how we do it.
And if you like this video and want to see more, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
We
Thank
promise
you.
to drink more bourbon next time.
Oh yeah, always more bourbon.
I wonder how many times we have to say Whistle Pig to get a sponsorship from Whistle Pig.
I know, if I have to whistle and dress up like a pig, I will.
I think the thumbnail for the next episode should be like this. In big yellow letters, it'll say overhaul question mark, repad question mark. What do you do with that big hammer?
Which hammer? This one?
The like real hammer, yeah.
Hit stuff like